Now, this guy, Jay Shetty's podcast, and he asked her something about her greatest fear as of late. And here's what she said.
This current climate for me, it's, what's happening to immigrants. So it's not the fear for myself anymore. I drive around in a 4-car motorcade with a police escort. I'm Michelle Obama.
There's so much in there, Tucker. I'll let you take a swing at it first.
Well, I mean, my first response is it feels so antique. It feels so 2017. It's like literally nobody cares. Nobody cares at all. All of those talking points, people of color under attack. No, they're not.
Did you see the video of Biden at the debate in 2007 announcing that Barack Obama had an AIDS test?
I know Barack got tested for AIDS.
Oh, it's the funniest video ever. Biden said, well, I think, AIDS is a real problem in the African-American community.
And the community's engaged in denial.
And I think we should all get AIDS tests. I mean, Barack Obama had an AIDS test.
I know Barack got tested for AIDS.
There's a cutaway of Obama being like, I hate you.
It's an important thing.
Then Biden's like, which is totally good. And I think he's negative, but I mean, all men should get an AIDS test.
There's no shame in being tested for AIDS.
Obama is so mad.
When the myth gets too glossy, someone's got to bring the grit. And Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson didn't just show up with sandpaper. They came swinging with power drills. Michelle Obama's airbrushed image, marketed like spiritual wisdom in a designer clutch, just got shredded with unfiltered sarcasm and sharp-edged truths. No sugarcoating, no soft landings. Just two media snipers stripping off layers of spin and strategic branding. Think that crown's welded on? Think again. This roast doesn't simmer, it incinerates.
Says the bars are just different for people in life. Right. The bar was very different for your husband. Very different. And I'm sure he got into Harvard just based purely on his intellect, right? And Harvard Law School. And he was ushered into the presidency with about 2 minutes of public service behind him.
Michelle Obama is now supporting sugar water, literally. She is now promoting sugar water for kids.
Because it's a better than soda option.
It's still high in sugar.
Why is she doing that?
Because she wants to make money.
So she's like a flack for some sugar company.
Oh, no. She partnered with a private equity company that specializes in junk food influencer partnerships.
Actually?
Oh, yeah. They're a private equity company that works on the Rocks energy drink and specializes in partnerships where high-level influencers partner to promote junk food. And she is the chief spokesperson and co-founder of Plezzy, which is a sugar.
Michelle Obama strolled into American politics like she was hosting her own personal TED Talk, expecting applause for complete sentences. The press acted like she floated down from the heavens, gripping a kale smoothie and a Harvard library pass. But when Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson called time on the hype, they didn't come gentle. They bulldozed that picture-perfect PR fantasy like it was an expired container of gourmet hummus. Overpriced, overhyped, and finally exposed.
Obama's still at it. And in this particular soundbite, she's got thoughts on relationships. Listen here.
Relationships are long, and there are also ebbs and flows, right? So I think sometimes people who date don't realize that, in long-term relationships, you're gonna have deep dips. And you're going to have
a bad year.
You're going to have I tell people, and folks think that this is harsh, it's like you're going to have a bad decade.
Megyn Kelly didn't flinch as she highlighted the wild contradiction of a woman preaching sacrifice while lounging in 5-star luxury, as her self-denial came with deep tissue massages and gold-plated hors d'oeuvres. This is someone who wagged fingers about healthy eating from the manicured gardens of a taxpayer-funded palace, while likely flipping through menus offering truffle-infused everything. Flying private to scold America about portion control? Irony at its peak.
Counted her husband's riches. They're definitely billionaires by now. The house in Martha's Vineyard, which is, I think, $20 million out on the yachts of David. What happened to me? Why doesn't anyone think about what happened to me during my... I'm enraged. I'm almost speechless at how ridiculously out of touch this person is.
And then there's Tucker. The man nearly pulled a muscle laughing at the idea that Michelle was ever relatable. Relatable to who? Not to anyone budgeting candles and curtains from Walmart. This is the same woman preaching big dreams. Dreams that apparently must include a Netflix contract, a memoir check larger than a country's GDP, and a brand built on pretending to be grounded while living in penthouse-level privilege.
to Princeton for free and has been in the ruling class her whole life, and she's still lecturing you about how she's a victim of racism. Hillary Clinton, exact same thing. Goes to Wellesley, spends her entire life in the ruling class, and she's still whining about how she's discriminated against. Why are they doing that?
Yeah. You ever see pictures of Jimmy Carter's house and Obama's house? We would allow people who call themselves public servants to get to live in this insane mansion off what?
In a white neighborhood, you should be required to live in the hood if you're Barack Obama and use.
If you're using that card,
use that card. The only reason you got elected was because of your race. You spent your entire 8 years inflaming race hate in our country, and then you go to Martha's Vineyard, the whitest zip code in the world. Not allowed. Yeah. You're not allowed to.
Megyn sliced into Michelle's legacy like a veteran surgeon skipping the anesthesia. First stop, the school lunch revolution. Remember that mission to feed kids like minimalist monks? Thousands rebelled, not against vegetables, but because they were being sentenced to gray slabs of quinoa despair while Michelle snacked backstage on Wagyu sliders. It wasn't wellness. It was a nationwide culinary depression, experiment dressed in virtue signaling.
Oh, good. She's still just as bitter as ever. There's such a great new, spin of complaints here. Here's one from her most recent episode, which still on YouTube, she's got 200,000 subscribers. It's really amazing that now she's been doing this for how many episodes? She's been literally on every podcast of the left wing promoting it. And that's still all she's managed.
Then there's a whole mom-in-chief storyline. Megyn found it downright comical and not in a kind way. Only Michelle Obama could turn everyday motherhood into a red carpet media moment with dramatic lighting and rehearsed authenticity. Suddenly, being a mom required a glam squad and a press team. Meanwhile, Tucker dug into the alternate dimension she lives in, one where victimhood comes gift-wrapped and every inconvenience gets its own memoir chapter. Missed a coffee run? Chapter 2. Rain during a speech? That's Volume 3. 60 million in book deals and still playing the underdog.
From her own statements about how awful marriage and motherhood are. It's we don't have to make it up. You led us right to that water, Michelle.
And it's amazing too, because Obama, you watch his body language in this thing and it's his arms are crossed, his legs are crossed. He's torqued away towards the camera or towards brother Craig. He seems as fearful of her. And it just is diffuse, deflect, diffuse as brother.
There's this odd belief that if you speak slowly and beam a warm smile, people will confuse it for wisdom. Michelle could read shampoo instructions and still get a standing ovation. That's the real tragedy. Megyn hammered how Michelle mastered manufactured humility, that graceful smile masking a passive-aggressive superiority complex, a magician of perception. She makes graciousness look effortless while reminding you she once hosted Beyoncé and made millions telling her life story, which reads more like a brand blueprint than a real autobiography. Tucker almost choked recalling Michelle's stage surprise at political realities. The White House? More like season 1 of the Michelle cinematic universe. And that Netflix deal? Because clearly, what America lacked was another high-budget Michelle monologue with lens flares.
Look at this guy in this dark, dank, smelly, dirty place with lots of danger. Not just this cherry picker, but also the live rail that he's working on, all the wires, having a great time. And then you look at her, and she's still, they have to be billionaires by now.
Sure.
Out on the yachts, the Martha's Vineyard $22 million estate, totally thriving young daughters who went to Harvard and USC. It's never going to be good enough. It's a mind frame, right? It's your choice of how you're going to.
Tucker claimed Netflix wasn't buying ideas. They were licensing the myth. And Michelle delivered each episode like a masterclass in stage vulnerability and faux authenticity. It's reality TV for people who want to feel intellectual without effort. Megyn took aim at a fashion frenzy because, let's be honest, her makeover was more intense than any Marvel origin story. One sleeveless dress, and the press lost its collective mind. Bold print? Cultural revolution. It wasn't fashion reporting. It was mass hysteria wrapped in silk. She could wear a raincoat and be praised for reinventing precipitation. And the idea of Michelle willingly returning to the political spotlight? Only if the cameras are rolling and the contracts are inked. Michelle for president? That's the Super Bowl of self-congratulation.
For
Barack Obama, and I'm sorry to be cynical, but I spent all 8 years of his presidency in the United States watching carefully. Why would he tweet out like it's a great thing that it's going to take days to find out who the new president is? Election workers are heroes. Respect them. Thank them. Don't share things before checking your sources. I'm trying not to use the F word on YouTube, but like, how dare you, Barack Obama? You liar! Lecture me about accuracy, and then let the process run its course. It takes time to count every ballot. Well, not in India, it doesn't.
Oh, this came out today.
Megyn tore through the role model narrative like it was built of cardboard. Because nothing screams inspiration like hiring an army of image consultants, brand managers, and digital retouchers. Michelle wasn't showing up as herself. She was performing herself. Every speech, every teardrop, every supposedly candid moment felt like part of $1 million commercial. This wasn't authenticity. It was high-budget theater. Tucker nailed it when he said Michelle had perfected the art of the metaphorical slow clap, those dramatic pauses, the faux emotional gaze, the carefully timed growth speeches. All of it felt like psychological chess on a nation desperate for something real. And behind each moving phrase, a product, a sponsorship, a message wrapped in velvet but backed by contracts. Megyn mocked how her speeches sound like they were written by a marketing intern who'd overdosed on motivational YouTube videos, full of uplift, zero substance, and just the right hair flip.
She should change her name to Misery Obama. That's really what I think of when I... Misery Obama never has a positive word to say. Never. Not about children, not about family, certainly not about her husband. By the way, before we leave this topic, here's her latest soundbite that made the rounds. This happened on June 18th, but I was off. Here it is, 39.
You should have threw a boy in the mix.
I would. I'm so glad I didn't have a boy. Because he would have been a Barack Obama.
It's like baby Barack. It would have been amazing.
Ooh, no, I would have felt for him.
She just borrowed our boys.
Yes, I got plenty.
Wow.
Did you catch that? She's glad she didn't have a boy because he would have been a Barack Obama. And that's a hard pass for her. This woman can't stand him. She can't.
Wait a minute. Now I like her. She prevented another Barack in the world. The Iranian regime quakes. We could have had another shot.
No, wait. Speaking of Barack Obama, he decided to drop a post on X today, and I thought, okay, maybe in the wake of the...
Tucker couldn't help but crack up at Michelle's endless odes to the journey. From Southside Chicago to Harvard to White House to a $100 million media empire. It's the kind of journey so relatable that millions of working Americans sob quietly over their third cup of ramen noodles. Her life is told like a bedtime story, and the moral is always, buy the book, stream the docuseries, believe the fairy tale. The way Michelle talks about America, you'd think she just crash-landed on a foreign planet. Curious, optimistic, and vaguely unimpressed. Megyn pointed out the smug tone beneath the smile, that lingering vibe of, you people still don't get it, while branding herself as a cure for every social problem she refuses to actually define. Part Oprah, part politician, all product. She didn't run for office. She became the office. Not a leader, a lifestyle brand. Her opinions aren't solutions. They're slogans. And somehow, she's praised not for results, but for the aesthetic of pretending to care.
Say it. I'm not surprised at all. I watched what happened in Rhodesia when it became Zimbabwe in 1980, and something identical happened. There was a lot of killing, and they drove it, to the bottom rank of nations, the poorest country in the world. And following exactly the same script, I always thought that would happen in South Africa. I wanted to be wrong. Turns out I wasn't. What really bothers me is that the West has allowed this and cheered it on, because I live in the West. I live in the United States. So I don't want to think that my leaders are for killing people on the basis of race, but watching how they've stood by and applauded, Barack Obama's applauded all this stuff. Yep. It tells you everything about Barack Obama.
Megyn went after the cult-like fandom with a smirk, calling out how even a whisper critique gets you labeled as a hater of children, a misogynist, or an ignoramus. Say her lunch program flopped? You're anti-wellness. Raise an eyebrow at her Netflix empire? You clearly fear strong women. Disagree with her worldview? Well, you're just not evolved enough. It's a rhetorical force field built from victimhood armor and worshipful headlines. Tucker closed his roast with savage wit, calling out the hypocrisy of a brand built on being above the noise, despite never shutting up. There's a twisted irony in claiming moral high ground, while monetizing the culture she insists is broken. It's not about progress. It's about product lines. Megyn wasn't done. She signed off with a warning. Michelle, Obama isn't royalty, a savior, or some spiritual compass. Her influence doesn't stem from wisdom. It comes from packaging. And America didn't just buy it. We binge-watched it.
Brother Craig, and the following took place. Here's how it started in SOT 36.
Barack Obama, can you join us on
Come
our
on
set?
out here, brother.
Welcome
man.
to IMO. Look at you.
Wait, you guys like each other?
Oh yeah, really? Huh?
That's so
The
nice.
rumor mill. It's my husband, y'all.
She took me back.
Now don't start.
I can't.
It was touch and go for a while.
It's so nice to have you both in the same room
I
together.
know.
But don't think this roast is finished. Every time Michelle grabs a mic, the material writes itself. She's not done monetizing her morality. She's not done rebranding the same message with a new backdrop. And Megyn and Tucker, they're just getting started. Because when a public persona is built like a fortress of untouchability, that's when the hammers come out. While the applause dies down and the cameras fade, Michelle is still backstage polishing her image, scheduling the next book tour, and rewriting the same story for new buyers. When your truth is a business model, there's always a new customer ready. And you better believe the roast is restocking. Her entire public image is a Hallmark card dressed in Gucci, syrupy on the outside, but fortified underneath. She reinvented branding herself as progress, all while dodging accountability, like it's a full contact sport.
Listen to this. Okay, I'll let you pick up your point in the back end of this, but listen to her talking about her 8 years in the White House, SOT 27.
So I'm at this stage in life where I have to define my life on my terms for the first time. So what are those terms? And going to therapy just to work all that out. Like, what happened that 8 years that we were in the White House? What did that do to me?
Yes.
Internally, my soul, we made it through. We got out alive. I hope we made the country proud. My girls, thank God, are whole. But what happened to me?
Oh my God. The utter privilege and how out of touch this person.
Megyn couldn't ignore the irony of Michelle preaching about privilege while soaking in it like a rose-scented spa soak. Every sermon about adversity comes from behind the tinted glass of a chauffeured luxury SUV. Every hardship tale is chopped and edited with slow-motion shots and piano music, ending in applause from rooms the average citizen will never afford entry to. Tucker delivered the final punch with a smirk. Michelle isn't a revolution. She's a brand, assembled, exported, and relentlessly monetized, built on the illusion of vulnerability and the mastery of charm as currency. While she floats on a cloud of curated success, Megyn and Tucker ripped off the PR filter and showed us what's behind it. Not a beacon of hope, but a TED Talk wrapped in a logo. Because behind every speech, every perfect pause, and every dramatic spotlight, Michelle Obama isn't transforming the world. She's selling it. And the receipts? They're long enough to wrap around the globe.